Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jim McGowan with Raymarine over in Hudson, New Hampshire. Thank you for joining us for our second webinar of the day. This is all in the run-up to the Cannes Yachting Festival next week. And today we are going to be presenting a bit on our first collaboration with our partner Avikus. Neuboat Dock is the name of the product we're going to be talking about today. So we have Jamie Cox from our product management team is going to be taking you through that in just a second. Before we get started, just a couple of little technical points about the webinar itself. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to hit the Q&A button down there in the bottom of your Zoom interface, and you can type questions in. We'll keep an eye on the questions queue, and if there's anything we can answer right there on the spot, we'll type an answer back to you. Some questions we may hold till the end, and when we do get to the end of the session, you can continue chatting in questions that way, or we do have the ability to allow you to voice questions. So you can use the raise your hand button. That'll actually signal us that you want to ask a question, and I can unmute your microphone, and you can make your question or comment to the panel. So we look forward to showing you this new product. Again, this is going to be viewable at the Cannes Yachting Festival next week. So Jamie will get into the details on that. So I'm going to hand over to Jim Hands, our Director of Marketing for the Americas. And Jim, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. And thanks everyone for joining. Glad you could make it. Yeah, so this is exciting. It's the first product from our partnership with Avikus. Like Jim said, yeah, it's going to be making its debut on a number of boats at the Cannes Yachting Festival. Anyone stateside, we encourage you to come see us at IBEX. Where we'll have demonstrations of this technology and some other exciting demonstrations of Avikus as well. So with that, we'll get into the details, and I will hand it over to Jamie Cox.
Thanks, Jim, and thanks, Jim, for the introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining today. I'm going to talk you through, as the guys have said, our first product that we're going to launch in partnership with Avikus. Let me start off by just doing a little recap. I think most people will have already heard about the partnership we've done with Avikus, but for those who aren't familiar with Avikus or the agreements that we've entered into, I'll do a little recap. So Avikus are a wholly owned subsidiary of HD Hyundai, a Korean company formerly known as Hyundai Heavy Industries, one of the largest shipbuilding yards in the world. Avikus was founded in January 2021 to develop autonomous navigations, particularly for the commercial ships coming out of Hyundai's shipyard. We really became aware of them back in 2022 when they publicized their first autonomous transocean crossing. That was a 300-meter liquid natural gas carrying ship, and it did 10,000 nautical miles autonomously, avoiding over 100 collisions in that time with crew on board, but the ship was running itself under supervision. A couple of other cool things from there: route optimization from the Avikus software, which ran the ship to optimize the route for weather and for sea conditions. That was used to reduce fuel consumption by about 7% and greenhouse gases by around 5%. So some pretty cool things going on there. And as from this year, this tech is standard equipment on all ships coming out of the Hyundai yard. Later in 2022, Avikus made their intentions known that they wanted to join the leisure boat industry, and they did a demonstration at Fort Lauderdale Boat Show in October. Some of the Raymarine team, myself included, were lucky enough to join that demo. We're pictured there going out into Fort Everglades for that autonomous demonstration. And they're basically taking the technology that they've developed for the commercial market and trying to push that into the smaller leisure boat sector. We really saw the value in that, and we saw the value of Avikus as a partner to Raymarine. So at the show in Fort Lauderdale, we entered into a memorandum of understanding to explore our options of working together. And later in February 2023, at the Miami Boat Show this year, we announced that Avikus Neuboat, which is their leisure boat solution, is only going to be available on Raymarine displays. We're working with them to incorporate some of our sensors, including radar, which will take their range of 120 meters for object detection, out to a lot further ranges that we can achieve with our quantum and cyclone radars. Avikus, as part of this agreement, are going to start incorporating more Teledyne FLIR products and cameras, and we'll be assisting them by providing access to test facilities, engineering support, and also with go-to-market and customer support through the Raymarine network that has been developed over our 80 years in the industry. So with that in mind, and the background set, well, I'm excited to say that next week at the Cannes Yacht Festival, we'll be able to give people a demonstration of our first product that we've launched together, which is a stepping stone into autonomous docking and navigation. And the first product we've launched with Avikus, or we are launching with Avikus, is a 6-camera surround view system, which stitches those 6 cameras into a 360-degree bird's eye view around the vessel, really developed to assist in maneuvering in tight quarters, and also when coming into the dock. Some of the really cool features of this, there are other products in the market that do something similar, but the coolest feature for us is that calibration is super easy on this system. It can be performed on land or in the water. Some of the other products that are available to date use calibration mats or calibration posts, which have to be positioned around the vessel on land. And they need engineers from the company that supply those products to be on site. As can be done on the water, we don't need any of those mats around the boat. We don't need any of our personnel to be on site at the factory even, or wherever the calibration is being carried out. And we can use some of our other products. The Yacht Centrelink 4G router, as an example, can provide a remote signal, so this calibration can be done remotely via an Axiom MFD, making it super easy to install, and just a much nicer experience for the boat builders. So the product is made up of an Axiom chart plotter. The Axiom or the Axiom 2 range will work with this system. And then we have a couple of pieces of hardware from Avikus. We've got the, sorry, the lights have gone out in here. We have the object recognition unit, which is the heart of the system, a camera control unit, which brings the 6 cameras together and connects them to the object recognition unit. And that object recognition unit is connected to the Raymarine displays via our Raynet network. Interestingly, that object recognition unit, I'll refer to that as the ORU as we go forward. That is the same piece of hardware that carries out autonomous navigation and autonomous docking when it's connected up with some other pieces of hardware like LiDAR and a forward-look camera, which were part of the Avikus system they demonstrated in Fort Lauderdale. So then there's 6 cameras which are mounted around the vessel. I'll move forward and show you a kind of typical layout that we have. So typically we have a bow camera, a stern camera, a port camera and a starboard camera, and then in the bows we have a port and starboard blind spot camera. So you can imagine where the bows of the boat start coming together, there's a blind spot there, and those 2 cameras fill in that position. So 6 cameras. We have 1 camera control unit for vessels up to about 50 feet, and we have a single object recognition unit. We can go up to around about 100 foot in size for this system, but some of those bigger boats need more camera control units. The maximum cable run between the camera and the CCU is about 15 meters, but we can extend that by putting multiple camera control units and then connecting them via a Raynet switch to the object recognition unit. So vessels up to around about 100 feet are supported by this system. The MSRP for basic systems with a single camera control unit is $19,999, $19,995 GBP, and 19,995 euros. Let's get into some of the images and the features that we have within the system. Obviously, the top-down view is the important one. So we're stitching all 6 cameras there into a single image to give you a 360-degree view all around the vessel to kind of empower our captains to dock with confidence. You can see this being demonstrated on our own test vessel here in the UK. You are able to pan and zoom on details in that image. We have on-screen distance guides to provide visual cues to help you dock, so you can just get a little bit more of an idea of when you're approaching close up to objects. These can be turned on or off. We've got them port, starboard, bow and stern, and you can have any of them on or off whenever you like. So you can have all four, you can have one, or you can have any combination at any time. Really easy to turn on and off through the UI that we've developed. We do a split view, so you can see the stitched image on the left-hand side of the screen, and then we offer the ability to look at the 6 individual cameras as well on the right-hand side, and then we've got combinations of that system. Another useful view there is the top-down view, but just highlighting a single camera on the right-hand side of the screen. If you want to look at any details in a little bit of a larger format, we're able to do that there. And then you can really get into customizing this so that you can see kind of exactly where the person at the helm wants to see at any particular time. So you can have either all 6, as I showed on the previous slide, or you can have any combination of cameras. We're showing the port and starboard and the port and starboard blind spot cameras there. And the icon in the middle of the individual cameras is showing you which cameras you've got highlighted, and you can push on those to turn on and off the other cameras. Super easy. Just making, when it's a stressful situation where you're trying to dock the boat, this has been designed to be as simple as possible to get you the information you need as quickly as you need it. One neat feature which we've developed, which is docking presets. And again, this is designed so that in these docking maneuvers, when sometimes you may be a little bit more stressed than normal, you're able to select the appropriate cameras just by clicking on a port side or a starboard side or a bow to or a stern to docking preset, and it'll pull up those cameras that are relevant to you. As you can see on that image there, you're not super worried about what's going on around the port side of the boat necessarily. So you've picked the starboard side to button, and we're showing you the image around the starboard side plus bow and stern of that boat, the ones that are relevant and where you need to focus on. The other cool thing we can do is just have a single camera full screen. And again, a little bit like earlier on where we had that split screen with a top-down view and the full screen camera on the right-hand side. It's where you really want to focus in on those details as you're getting in close to something. So you can pick that single camera, zoom in on that and have the whole screen there. And then once you're in there, you can pinch to zoom and pan around that image as well. So you can get really close into these images. The cameras are 720p, so we've got a really good resolution on there for zooming in. Again, the icon at the bottom of the screen there shows you where that image is looking. So if you're disorientated, you're not quite sure whether that camera's pointed out bow or stern, the icon at the bottom will let you know where that is. And again, on that single image, we can turn distance guides on or off to give you a little bit more information and some more visual clues about how close you're coming to the objects around you. So in summary, that is the main features of the product. Both Avikus and Raymarine share a vision of making boating accessible and safer and more enjoyable for everyone. So this is really about taking stress out of some of the harder situations that we face when we're out on the water. This is the first product that Raymarine and Avikus are launching together for the leisure marine market. And we're going to display this next week at the Cannes Yacht Festival from the 12th of September. We will have this on board an FIM R440 powerboat. It will be available to see on board a Princess Y80 yacht. And over in the sailing area of the show, it's going to be on a Lagoon 50, available to see there on a large catamaran as well. So a good variety of boats to go and look at Cannes if you're there next week. As Jim mentioned at the top, we are going to be doing on-water demos at IBEX. So that runs at the start of October. And we're going to expect to start shipping these in Q4 of 2023 for our boat builder partners. There's more information about the Raymarine and Avikus collaboration on our website. And that is everything I have to present today, but I am able to take questions. All
right. Yeah, we'll open the floor for questions. Again, If you prefer to type a question in, you can open your Q&A panel and type anything you like in there. Or if you want to signal that you'd like to ask a question via voice, just hit the button to raise your hand and I can unmute your microphone and you'll be able to speak directly to us. And we'll keep the Q&A going as long as the questions keep on coming. So first one is from Ben Stein. Is this system only available to boat builders?
Hi, Ben. Yeah, initially this is going to be a new boat only, so it'll be only available to boat builders. But we are already exploring options to make this retrofittable, and it will be available to anyone with an Axiom MFD. Dates on that to be confirmed, but it is something that we're working towards.
I would imagine that the fact that it is so easy to calibrate it compared to other things is what really makes that possible, huh?
Absolutely, yeah. That ability to remotely calibrate it means it takes one hurdle away from not being able to offer it as a retrofit.
Great. And we have a hand raised, so let's try that out. This is Hugo. I'm going to hit the button here, and you can just unmute your mic and you can ask your question. Go ahead.
Thanks. I got a bit confused there about it being up to 50 foot, but then 50 to 100 foot. Is that because you needed a different extra cameras or something? I lost track there.
Yeah, sorry, maybe I wasn't very clear there. No, it's 6 cameras for all sizes of vessels, up to around about 100 foot is the largest boat that we've tested. But what you need is multiple camera control units. So let me see if I can jump back to my slide because it is a little bit easier to explain with that image on the screen. Here we go. Okay, so the 6 cameras connect into the plain white box, which is the camera control unit, and that box is connected via Ethernet to the object recognition unit, which then connects to our display. The maximum distance between a camera and the camera control unit is 15 meters. So on boats over about 50 feet, they may need more than one camera control unit. But we're able to support boats up to around 100 feet with 6 cameras.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. And I think there's a couple of other texted in questions here from Roland. What does object recognition in particular mean? Is that available just now?
Yeah, so if you've seen any of the Avikus products that were being demonstrated at Fort Lauderdale, or maybe on the Avikus website is a good place to go and have a look. That object recognition is one of the fundamental pieces of their autonomous navigation. So that is the primarily the forward-looking camera in the autonomous navigation, which is picking up objects that you could be at risk of colliding with, and that box will do that work. So it's not available today, but it is a future product, and it's one that we will be demonstrating at IBEX.
Great. Actually, the next couple of questions, we can probably kind of pair them together from Ben and from Andrew. If you could recap the boats that will be shown at Con, and then the second question was kind of to what OEMs are interested in this product for 2024, if we can say.
Yeah, I'll let you know, the boats that are going to be at Cannes is a FIM, and that's an R440 model. It's going to be on a Princess Y80, and it's going to be on a Lagoon 50 catamaran, a sailing boat. That is probably the biggest clue I can give you to the boat builders that are interested initially. There are some others, but I can't really give their names away yet.
It's just to clarify, it's a Lagoon 51.
Sorry, Lagoon 51. Sorry, Jim.
Every foot matters.
Yes.
Great. So we are still open for questions. Feel free to chat them in, or again, if you want to voice a question to us, just hit the button to raise your hand and I can unmute your microphone. Obviously, some very cool technology. We're excited to get this out in the public space and get people looking at it. Another question from Roland. I understand that this is a future engagement with much more features to come. Will we see those in months or years, or what's the time frame?
So the best place to see some of those cool features will be at the IBEX show in October, when we're going to be doing an on the water demo. And then we're working towards quite a quick introduction, I think, of some of these features. Yeah, I won't go too much into the detail, but it's not a long-term project. It should be quite soon.
Yeah, I think that's something that's pretty neat about it is, I mean, we've seen all these features actually work. Right? So yeah, it's just a matter of getting the final polish on them to get them ready for the consumer market. So it won't be long.
Yeah, and Jim, to that point, the demonstration at IBEX will be pretty cool. So look out for that for sure.
Another question from Ben. Can you clarify object recognition again at launch? Is that not available? The system shows the object recognition unit, but I think you said that will be shown at IBEX.
Yeah, so object recognition and detection is not a feature that's going to be on the basic camera system at launch, but we will be demonstrating that feature at IBEX.
And a question from Anna. Do you know by any chance if we'll have an Avikus boat at Genoa? I don't know.
I'm not sure, but I will check into that, and we can let you know if any of those 3 boats are going to be moving across to Genoa.
Very good. Yeah, we'll take that for a follow-up. Anna. All the questions, we actually log them, so we know who asked. So we'll make sure you get an answer. And we have a request for a voice question from Hugo. So I'm going to unmute you and go ahead and ask your question. You might just have to unmute your mic.
I think I have. You can hear me now?
We can, yes.
Cool. So presumably you will be able to sort of retrospectively upgrade for object recognition or autonomous berthing if it becomes available in 6 months, a year's time.
Yeah, absolutely. So that piece of hardware there is doing that work already. And as I say, we're already able to demonstrate it. There are some pieces of hardware that you may need if you want control and full autonomous docking. You'll need to have an interface to your engine unit, which we will talk about later on, probably over the coming year. And then in terms of object detection from the surround view camera, that will be a software update, but forward-looking object detection for autonomous navigation, which we'll demonstrate at IBEX. That needs a forward-looking camera. And I guess maybe to that point, there are a few slots left at the IBEX show for the demonstration, so you can feel free to reach out to us, and we may be able to get you a slot on the demo boat if you haven't already got one booked.
So are you already discussing with partners like Volvo to try and integrate it with sort of assisted docking and all manner of other bits of software and kit that's going on?
Yeah, so as you can imagine, those discussions are ongoing, and we'll be seeing a lot of those partners at the IBEX show. But yeah, since we signed the agreement back in February, those discussions have been taking place.
And is the ultimate goal completely hands-free autonomous berthing?
I think, yeah, so that is what we look at, and that is what, if any of you were on the demo or had the opportunity to be on the demo at the Fort Lauderdale show, that is what Avikus demonstrated, fully autonomous berthing. The caveat to that is we require someone to be at the helm at the moment, a lookout, to take control. Much like if you're familiar with the cars of today with their autopilot systems, you still have to have a driver there ready to take over.
But that's just a legal requirement rather than a physical necessity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. And how do you tell it which berth you're aiming for?
Yeah, so we're really straying into some of the product that we're going to demo at IBEX later, but this was a demonstration that was done in Fort Lauderdale, so I'm happy to talk about it. They use a LiDAR sensor to generate a map of the surroundings around the boat, and then they put that map onto the user interface on the Axon display, you can then click where you want the boat to go to, and it will maneuver itself into that position. A little bit like the autonomy in parallel parking systems that you see in cars today.
Yeah. So it effectively sort of draws a map of the marina, and you point to a berth, and it will take you there and park you there.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah,
You
and
just
the
have to choose whether
demonstration.
it's bow in or stern in, or
Yeah, exactly. So you click where you want the boat to go, and then it asks you whether you want it port side to, starboard side to, or bow stern, and then it takes over and does the rest. And the demo that we were on board, that there was a picture of earlier in the slideshow, they did that for us, and it was inch perfect.
wow, very cool. Good stuff. But you're not announcing that formally as yet.
Sorry, say that again.
So you're not, it's not currently available, and you're not currently announcing it, but that is the stated aim that within, say, a year.
Yeah, so the cards have been shown, right, with Avikus doing that demonstration last year in Fort Lauderdale. So that obviously is the aim for us to get to, and we're going to demonstrate that again at IBEX.
Yeah, and it's branded a Raymarine Avikus system, is it?
It is, yeah. So the branding that you'll see, and the guys at the top of this, we discussed it before we let everyone into the webinar, will let me know that the website is now live, so you should be able to start seeing some of that. Raymarine X Avikus is the brand that some of these products will be going with.
Brilliant, thank you.
Okay.
Kind of a related question that was chatted in again, so maybe you can clarify for us, Jamie. For this is from Ben Stein. For systems that don't have object recognition, is the object recognition unit still required, or is there an additional cost associated with object recognition when that's available?
Yeah, so I think I said you will need, if you're looking for the forward-looking object recognition, that's an additional piece of hardware with a forward-look camera. The object recognition unit is doing the processing and the stitching of the 6-camera system together, and then there will be software upgrades available to take that to object detection later on.
Great. Hopefully that answers your question, Ben, but if not, feel free to follow up. And for anybody with questions, feel free to chat or raise your hand. And we got another live question from Hugo. So go ahead.
Sorry, me again. You mentioned that these are going to be software upgrades. So will that be an additional charge if you want to upgrade it to object recognition or autonomous berthing in the future?
Yeah, so autonomous berthing will need additional hardware because you need to interface with the engines. So there will be a cost associated with that. And there will be some additional features that will be a kind of step in between the two, and those will be available as an additional charge. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And if anybody has any questions, feel free to drop them into the Q&A panel or raise your hand. We'll keep going here for as long as the questions keep on coming in. See a lot of familiar names in our attendee list, and we haven't heard from you yet. I'm sure you've got questions, so feel free to drop them in there. Definitely a really cool system, Jamie, and it'll be interesting to see it implemented on both, a combination of power and sailboats next week at the yachting festival. It's nice that we have both available there to see.
Yeah, I think it's exciting that we made a lot of noise and we've talked a lot about this partnership with Avikus, and now we're actually starting to see the fruit of that and demonstrate that. And we've got a product here that is super easy to install and calibrate, which is a big difference between some of the docking solutions that we've seen in the past. So that'll be neat. The boat builders that we've talked to are excited about it.
Another question just chatted in from Roland, and I'm not sure you can answer this one yet, but we'll ask anyway. Any idea the amount of costs added for the full autonomous berthing?
Yeah, I can't talk too much about that at the moment.
Yeah, there's still a few more pieces of the puzzle to to map out for that, but more on that very soon. We'll keep the line open here for a couple more minutes. And after the webinar is over, do watch your email inbox. You'll get a follow-up from us with, I think, a media kit. We'll also make the recording of this session available so that if you want to watch it again, if you want to share it with somebody else on your team, you can do that.
I had a question. I think I know the answer, Jamie, but this is a separate dedicated app because we have a camera app on Axiom, but this is a unique app, right? So we can we can run our other cameras too, or like our FLIR or our Cam 300 as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So this will have an app that you can go into from the Lighthouse home screen, just like any of the others. And it's really about starting to offer boat users the same experience that they have in their car. You know, a lot of cars now are starting to show these top-down 360 for parking. And it's about carrying that same experience when you get out of your car onto your boat. You've got that same tech available there.
Great. Yeah, it's exciting.
Very important question from Ben Stein. Are there any embargoes on this Avikus information we're presenting today?
No. So there's no embargoes on this. There is an embargo on the previous webinar for our new sailing products that we're launching on the 12th. So all that is embargoed to the 12th, but this Avikus announcement is not embargoed. So yeah, feel free to publish away.
Thank you, sir.
So I can make a jump on my colleagues in the sailing team and steal their thunder. That's really important that we make a big hype about this product.
Another question from Roland. Are these FLIR cameras involved in this system?
The surround view cameras that you're seeing, the 6 cameras as part of that system are not from FLIR. But when we start looking towards particularly the autonomous navigation, when we're trying to do things like detect objects at night or in poor visibility, then the thermal imaging and the FLIR cameras will start to play more of a role there.
Yeah, I think you said these are 720p resolution, so
yeah,
high definition, very nice. And that's what gives them the ability to zoom in. You said you can pinch to zoom in on those images and get more detail out of them.
Really get up close to the areas that you want to check around the boat. You can imagine on that Lagoon 51 that we're seeing at Cannes next week, from the helm station, it's really difficult to see all the way around that boat. So this is going to be a great feature for those boat owners.
Good. A follow-up question from Roland. Can we or do you have any information on where those cameras come from? Avikus, I'm sure, has had a hand in specifying the requirements for those.
Yeah, so those cameras are supplied to us by Avikus. I can't talk too much about anything else.
Okay. You happen to know, Jamie, on that Lagoon, obviously a catamaran is a much bigger, wider hull. Are there any kind of particular challenges that the guys had to overcome when they install that system, or was it a pretty routine setup as far as we know?
It's fairly routine. Some of the things that give us challenges are when there are options on the boat. So boats like that Lagoon 51 are offered with a tender that is either hanging from davits, or it can be supported from a platform that lowers down to launch it. And depending on where that tender is positioned, it makes a difference for our stern view camera. So we need to know what options have been selected in order to place the camera in the best position on the boat. But other than that, the installation is fairly straightforward, even on a large sailing catamaran.
Excellent. Ben asked about, are the cameras similarly rugged to other surround view systems? What can you tell us about how they're put together? How weather resistant are these?
Yeah, so they would be tested to all the usual Raymarine standards, and we'd expect them to pass all of our the normal test that we put our products through. I think there's a video on YouTube of our environmental testing, and these will be subject to exactly the same thing.
Excellent. Kind of from a relatively speaking, how big are these cameras? And I mean, apple sized, size of your fist.
Yeah, so they are 50 to 60 millimeters, so it's about 2.5 inches in diameter of the bezel that you see there. Yeah, and then there's I think it's a 40, I'd have to check, 30 or 40 millimeter hole that you drill through the boat to fit the back of the camera through the hull.
So they're pretty small. They're going to disappear into the overall design of the vessel.
Yeah, this was the idea, that these things are not too visible, and particularly on a large boat like the Y80 Princess that will be on next week in Cannes, you'll virtually not see these cameras at all.
Okay. Very good. Comment from Roland: might it be possible to record a berthing process, which might be useful with charters? Interesting. Is there any ability to record the video off of these? I think it's more or less a live stream you're seeing off the cameras.
It is a live stream, but I think we can record, Jim, screen video from the Axiom directly. So we could put something together like that, potentially, yeah.
Okay, interesting. If that didn't quite answer your question, Roland, feel free to chat in another one or raise your hand. Ben Stein, kind of a comment and a follow-up, thinking about mounting locations of cameras. Some of the other ones on the market out there tout that their cameras will survive a significant impact since they're mounted by rub rails or other vulnerable positions.
Yeah, and I would expect us to be able to do the same thing as well. I wouldn't want to make any claims, but for example, some of these cameras can be mounted directly below an anchor on a bow.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that we are expecting them to have to put up with quite harsh conditions. The housing for the cameras, actually, it's not clear from the image in there. Maybe that's something to talk about. All of that housing that you can see is stainless steel, marine grade stainless steel. So there's no plastic in there.
Okay, yeah, so they are pretty rugged.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll keep things open for another minute or so. Questions are slowing down a little bit. If you got one in there, please feel free to pop it in. Or again, raise your hand, we can unmute you. Jamie, at the yachting festival next week, what kind of resources does Raymarine have on the ground there related to Avikus? Obviously, we have the boats that people can go and see. Do we have anything in the booth there, or
yeah? So
talk to?
If you're at the show next week, I'll be there. Come find me. At the booth, we'll have a stand that's actually demonstrating some of the navigation and auto docking systems, so you'll be able to play around with that app on the Axiom display. There will be personnel from Avikus there to talk to, and then obviously we've got these 3 boats that you can go on board, take a look at this system in place. But yeah, we'll definitely be around to talk about these products in the future.
Excellent. And I believe you're coming over to join us in Tampa for IBEX as well. Is that correct?
I am.
All right.
I'm excited to escape the British winter and get some sun. But yeah, and as I said earlier on, there are a few slots available still for that demonstration. So if you reach out, we may be able to get you a time on the water where we're going to take people out from the convention center on the boat, run it autonomously up the river, and bring it back in and do a demonstration of autonomous docking. So some pretty cool stuff there.
A round trip passage is guaranteed every time.
Yeah.
Excellent. I can't wait to see it. So I'm going to announce this as the last call for questions. So if anybody's typing, type just a little bit faster. And again, if you think of something after the fact, certainly feel free to follow up with any one of us on the team. If you're in Europe, you have contacts through MTM. in the US through Rushton Gregory, or some of you have my email address, and Jim Hands, who's on here too. Feel free to reach out to any of us. And certainly if you're coming to either the Cannes Yachting Festival or IBEX, do stop by the booth and definitely come and see us. Touch the system, take a ride with us if you can. It is really incredible technology. And I don't see any new questions in there, so I think we will close it down for today. Jim, Hands, or Jamie, any final comments or anything for the group before we end?
Just that we are excited to be getting this relationship off the ground, getting these products into the hands of customers. And if you do have a chance to be in Cannes next week or at IBEX in Tampa in October, come see us, come see the products, and I'm sure you'll be excited too.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Jim, did you have something?
Yeah, no, just to reiterate what Jamie says, and yeah, please come see us at both the shows, and yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting everybody at IBEX.
Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon or this morning, depending on where you are in the world. I think we even have a few people from Australia, so it's probably really early in the morning or very late at night. But we appreciate you tuning in. And we look forward to seeing you soon. And with that, keep an eye on your inbox for follow-ups from this. We'll make this recording available, and we have some other materials for you. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you for joining us today. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.